Hey guys, welcome to Nico Play. This is another episode of Love, Money, Rock and Roll, and Nico lost all his money. His bank account has been blocked and he has no food. He's starving, which we are very happy and we are very glad, and we hope he's gonna die soon. Alright, so Kuyosoki, we came to our friend. Let's see what he's gonna say.
Hi there, what are we going to do?
It seemed that Kuyosoki was genuinely delighted to see me. I have something to discuss. But to ask him for money like that without any preamble, it didn't work with Michael. I've been really busy recently, can't even find the time to go to school. What are you busy with?
Yeah, don't see you there often these days.
He said seriously and continued in a lighter tone.
You'll never believe what Kurosaki did.
That seemed to be the name of the guy whose face I punched at the school gate. Oh my god, I already forgot. It was like 16 or 17 episodes ago. It seemed to have happened so long ago. Oh yeah, for sure. As if another life, definitely. What? I asked out of politeness.
He came to school totally drunk.
So what? He's rich, he doesn't give a shit. He's like Nico Kun. Even I've never done that. Oh, even Nico never did that. Okay, thank God.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wonder what the principal told him.
I wonder what the principal told him.
They said he might get expelled.
Well, he probably deserves it.
You don't even know who Kurosaki is, right?
Kuyosoki squinted slyly at me and leaned on the flimsy table with his whole massive body. I know, of course I do. However, I still couldn't stand looking him in the eye and looked away.
Okay, Nick, tell me what's up. You are a shitty liar anyway.
I've got a problem with my bank, just a little thing. The end of the month, they are flat out, you know. They have some sort of glitch in their system, so I couldn't withdraw money from my account. Judging by Kuyosoki's look, I could see that he understood nothing. Anyway, can you lend me some money? I summed it up in a serious tone.
This isn't the best time, Nick. It's the end of the month for me to get my pocket money next week. And I still wanted to buy some tankabones. Tankabone, independent standalone book, is the Japanese term for a book that is not part of anthology or corpus. In modern Japanese, the term is most often used in reference to individual volumes of a manga series. Okay, good for him. What is going on with the camera? Like, I'm in the middle, right? Kuyosoki, damn it, I have nothing to eat and you're still talking about your manga. What, is that bad?
He looked genuinely concerned. Yes.
Will you tell me what happened?
No, we just told you, wait. We just told you that the problem with the bank.
But when it comes to asking for money...
So you won't lend me any. I interrupted him rudely.
It's not about money, Nick, don't you understand?
Finally, Japanese and American people are so smart they realize that if you're gonna lend money to your friend, that's it, you don't have friend anymore. If you wanna lose friend, give them money. That's fucking it. I hesitated for some time. Was it a good idea to tell him the truth? I wasn't worried about Kuyosoki's safety, but was genuinely concerned that he wouldn't be able to keep his mouth shut. I'm in some trouble.
That's what you need friends for.
He gave me a too wide smile, which even made me shudder a bit. No histrionics now, we're not in anime.
Unfortunately.
To a certain extent, I was positive Kuyosoki would give me money even if he didn't learn the entire truth. At the same time, I came to clear realization that I had pushed away everyone I could, and a lot of senses put myself in this situation. Do you have anything stronger? I signed with an unhappy smirk, fidgeting the cup of tea in my hands and started. I hope you've noticed that my life has been pretty fucked up lately. Well, it turned out that my parents' death wasn't an accident. I got contacted, but why are you telling him that? Oh my god, I thought like, okay, just give me money, okay, you cannot, okay, that's fine, that's it. Why are you telling that him bullshit story? I got contacted by KGB agents and later by Japanese intelligence. I prudently decided not to tell him about Himitsu's father. It's all somehow related to my father's work, but I don't know much about it myself. Kuyosoki was listening to me with his mouth open. Suddenly, his face brightened as if he finally realized something important.
the corners of his mouth went up, and he squinted happily. Are you and Michael trying to play trick on me? Do you think that I would buy that so easily? No way! God damn it, Kuyusoki, you don't joke about this stuff. I smashed my fist on the table and the tea got split all over the place and covered the magazines that lay on it. Sorry, just a bit more serious. I took some napkins and started to wipe the table. So what are you going to do now? It seemed that he finally figured out that I was indeed not doing well. Well, for starters, I could eat something. I can help you with that, he replied confidently. Kuyusoki's mom, as rotten as he, made food for the slaughter, so to say. One of her standard portions would do a normal person for several days. Even normally, everything was incredibly delicious, but now I was eating like Mayakovsky Ichiosaurus. Reference to a Mayakovsky hymn to the scientist. Okay, I got it. Her food, infallibly fried, always came with incredible amounts of oil and fats, species, salts, and herbs. Spices. Very spicy food. Kuyusoki himself was eating so actively, he was sweating. After we finished the celebration hedonism, we returned to his room. Phew. I was saying in a half whisper, I couldn't even breathe normally. If I lived here, I ended up having a heart attack. Leave off! Alright, back to our talk. Okay, so no more money, right? Damn, why I'm like... Oh my god. Okay, now I'm in the middle. His face instantly turned serious. Are you in danger? I don't know, I guess so. The question is what kind of danger? I didn't want to scare Kuyusoki too much, he was impressionable enough already. I don't think they want to kill me, otherwise I'd be long dead. But ruining my life is another matter. Maybe you could go to the police? What do you think, provided that Japanese intelligence is involved? Yeah, right. He bit his lip and started to think. So what about... yeah. Kuyusoki began to fuss about it, picked up a wallet from the table. I don't have much here, that's all. No, don't give... he gave him money. Don't give him money, he's gonna go drunk. He gave me a thin bundle. I started to count. If you wanna ask more from my mom, I can come up with an excuse. It was almost 30,000 yen. Because he asked 10 and he got 30. Okay. Alright, no need, that should do for now. And thank you. Not at all. If I can help you with anything else, just let me know. Definitely. And, Nick, don't disappear. He looked me in the eye. I'll do my best. I smiled weakly and stood up. Kuyusoki was shaking my hand firmly for quite some time, bidding farewell. Damn, Kuyusoki is like fucking the best guy in this. And Michael. Kuyusoki and Michael, they're fucking the best. They don't supposed to even talk to Nico because he's a horrible person. I've probably never been so meticulous at choosing groceries, guided mainly by their prices. What is more, I had hardly ever even looked at the prices before. It came as a surprise to me that there was a certain point in buying paper plates. They were cheap, but I at least didn't have to wash them. But seriously speaking, the minimum amount of groceries necessary for my survival didn't turn out to be as expensive as I expected. Of course, in different circumstances, I wouldn't take a good pile of sweets, chips, or even steak meat. But he doesn't know how to cook. What's the point to fucking buy a steak meat? It was getting colder and colder in Tokyo. Even if the temperature on the thermometer wasn't changing much yet, my gut, with some kind of internal thermometer of its own, warned of the inevitable coming of the cold. I was always surprised by a sort of symmetry of the seasons, autumn and spring. September much resembles May, while November is closer to March. Although there are also many differences in their mood. Spring is the time of new hope, while autumn is a sober period for wise thinking about life, or useless introspection in my case. Loaded with food bags and household supplies, I approached my house when the sun was already setting in the west, painting the entire horizon red. Somebody was sitting on the stairs, someone wearing our school uniform. I instantly grew hopeful. Oh my god, that's Saya-chan. However, it turned out to be Saya-chan. Hi there. White's orange. Nikolai saying Fiskult Privet, a half-joking happy greeting originating in the USSR that can be roughly translated
fizzed hello. I'm not gonna guys explain you that. Like, the author is like, Saya-chan would know that, right? Saya-chan, of course. I said in Russian. Huh? She raised her head and looked at me with bewilderment. It seemed she had fallen asleep. What the fuck is bewilderment? You're back, finally. Saya quickly regained her senses. Would you like to explain yourself? So what am I guilty of this time? As if you don't know yourself. I put the bags on the ground and let out a tense sigh. I don't. And here I thought we started to get along at least a little bit after the karaoke. Himitsu, what happened? Why did she change schools and leave Tokyo in the middle of the school year? Woohoo! What? Is that a joke? I smiled ironically and Saya continued with even more pressure in her voice. You want to tell me you don't know? Figures. She got so fed up of you that she just ran away. What do you mean left Tokyo? Her house is... Where's her house? Oh, there's no more house. I know, there's the house. I turned around and looked across the road. The lights were off, and it seemed that nobody was home. I instantly recalled yesterday's noise. Ryusoki-san shouts at the squeal of the tires of departing car. Oh, they were running away. Okay, that's good. I slowly sat down on the stairs next to Saya. Tell me everything. Our teacher told us today that Himitsu transferred to another school. He didn't want to say which one, but I'm the class representative and managed to find out that this school isn't in Tokyo. Where then? Soviet Union. Back in USSR. Saya said the name of the prefecture. Yeah, right. Himitsu had been taken to her grandmother. Okay, which meant that Ryusoki didn't know about me eavesdropping on him a week ago. Otherwise, he wouldn't choose a different place. Wait, so you really don't know? Why every time, like every single character in this fucking game? Oh, you really don't know? You don't know? How come you don't know? Nico-kun, why you don't know? Nico doesn't know shit. He knows fucking nothing, and he doesn't want to. You know, this is the main philosophy of this entire game. He's like a Oblomov. You know, if you don't know who is that hero, go read the Goncharov book named Oblomov. Like, seriously. It's on English, by the way. Very good translated book. I have the copy. Fabulous book. And it's literally all about, for first 50 pages, it's about the guy who just laying on the sofa. And it's genius. It's fucking genius. The guy laying on the sofa, he doesn't... There's like some rain, there's like some bills, some jobs, like he has no food, like all that, you know. And he just like, you know, whatever. Like whatever. Until that time, when the problem comes in, then he starts to act. That's exactly like Nico. And everyone, oh, you don't know? Oh, you really don't know? Imagine that. Himitsu has things in her life that have nothing to do with me for a while now. What could have happened that made her leave without even telling me? Do you really think you mean so much in her life? That was a nice one. We're best friends! Saya protested. Then you should realize that she mustn't have had a very good reason. But why then? I didn't reply, looking in the direction where, as far as I imagined, her grandmother's village was. With the backdrop of the sunset, the buildings in the distance looked absolutely dark, the yellow sheen of the windows like stigmata piercing them in places. Tokyo was reminding me of the ghost city from the novel I Am Legend. Hey! The insurmountable influence of a third party. I replied vaguely and regretted that I hadn't bought anything to drink at the store. There you go again, acting like it has nothing to do with you at all. How am I supposed to act, huh? I lost my temper but immediately felt silent, realizing that I couldn't explain anything to Saya without disclosing all the details. If you have something to say, say it to her father. It wasn't her choice. Wasn't her decision? Saya asked with surprise, and that made me even angrier. Of course it wasn't. You say you know her, or at least you believe so. Do you really believe she could just pack up and run away? Because it looks like running away, don't you think? Yes, running away from you! So what do you think I could have done to make her drop everything and run away? Just think about it. It's nonsense. If she could just leave that easily because of me, she would have done it a long ago. And don't look at me like that. I know I'm not an idiot. So then what happened? Whatever happened, happened. and there's no way of fixing it now. Are you sure? Maybe now is the best time. I turned to Saya. She seemed to be talking to herself. Yes, tell again, like about KGB, Japanese intelligence. Yes, go tell it fucking entire Tokyo. If all you're saying, if it's true, then now is the time to prove your sincerity. This isn't a nightly tournament. Yeah, you're right. Maybe you finally got the chance to get rid of that constant attention from Himitsu and be together with that foreign girl or whoever you want to be with. Himitsu was giving you so much trouble with all her breakfasts, dinners, bento, constant lectures and care for you. Enough! Her words were painfully jabbing at my heart. What, feeling uncomfortable? Why? Well, that's why you've been trying to achieve with everything you've done. Suddenly she stood up and looked me up and down with pity in her eyes. Like, oh, what do you say? I'm wrong. I was quite unable to raise my eyes. I have nothing else to say. Saya left and I kept sitting on the stairs, lonely and broken. The truth is still the truth, even if it's not said aloud. But God spare me. Sometimes it's better not to remember it at all. I decided not to cook dinner, dropped groceries in the kitchen without even putting them in the fridge and fell into bed. Good job. Easy money. That conversation with Saya finished me off. Her words echoed in my head with a dull pain. I really had been constantly irritated by Himitsu's meddling, and deep inside I probably didn't want her to stand in the way of my relationship with Catherine. Well, now she really wasn't. There was no Catherine, no relationship, no Himitsu, not in my life. And it wasn't even important who initiated Himitsu's move, her father or her after catching Catherine at my place. Probably for the first time in my life I didn't care about the reasons anymore. Why did they matter anyway? Himitsu had always been around as a loyal friend, as a loving sister and caring mother, as a patient wife and a grandma always ready to spoil, and now she was gone. Had I ever thought about what Himitsu felt even once in my life? Yes, occasionally I was ashamed of my behavior and attitude toward her, but that's not the same thing. How does it feel to spend years next to the person you love and realize that for him you are something like a combination of a kitchen unit, a washing machine, a vacuum cleaner, and an old grunting radio gramophone? Wow. Such a nice comparison to Himitsu, definitely. I was a bastard not only because I was taking Himitsu's love for granted, but first and foremost because I couldn't give a final answer either to her or to myself. Now it seems to me that she wouldn't understood if I had said that I loved Catherine and couldn't continue playing family any longer. After all, she had been doing all this only when the hope that I would reciprocate had still been alive somewhere deep in her heart. If I had killed that hope, no matter how cruel it would have been to her in the moment, Himitsu couldn't have moved on. And in the end, she couldn't broken free of this vicious cycle and then, who knows, possibly found happiness. But that was that I shouldn't done a long time ago, and now, as I realized it more and more clearly, my only desire was to bring her back. I'd only spent a couple of days without Himitsu, only spent a couple days with the realization that I was lonely, irreparably and forever, and I finally understood so much. They say that a fool doesn't learn even from his own mistakes. I always thought that pain was the best stimulus and teacher. And feeling of danger, the fear of the unknown, the dread of losing something meaningful. In our modern society, they replaced instincts refined over millions of years, instincts necessary for survival. I lost Himitsu, and it made me feel like a caveman who left his lair in the morning to find his fruit grove destroyed by a hurricane. Had we thought just yesterday that this grove was perhaps his only source of food? Had he cherished it, taken care of it, watered it? Such thoughts never even crossed his mind. Suspended in a half dream, my memory was again and again returning to the moments when we were happy. I remembered how we met, our first day at middle school, the first time we were making a snowman. 10 years fell away like beads from a broken jar.
Himitsu most likely remembered more than I. After all, remembering details is a typical feminine trait. For her, every day that had been a part of an endless gray background to me bloomed with different colors stroke after stroke. Washing clothes, cleaning breakfast, lunch, dinner, into everything she did for the person she loved, she was putting a tiny bit of herself. Things that were empty and pointless from my perspective, the perspective of a person who was only thinking about his own place in the world due to lacking any other worries, were filled with meaning only she could understand. With meaning only she could understand. The greater meaning, not the monolithic one, like the philosophical verity, but rather comprised of an endless amount of tiny daily duties, just like atoms are comprised of particles, molecules, and comprised of atoms, and that warm winter sweater Himitsu had knit for me of New Year's is comprised of her love. My love for Catherine was a manifestation of the greater feeling, an ideal image of romanticism beyond any boundaries or conditions. That love looked at the necessity to buy groceries, cook, wash dishes, and iron shirts with condensation. Yes. It was a self-centered concept, a neutron star accumulating a tremendous amount of energy inside. It didn't and couldn't understand daily routines and worries. It despised thoughts of the practical, the earthly. I sunk so deep in the greater feeling that I completely lost my ground, reality, and was just floundering in the air, unable to stand on my own 2 feet. Moreover, that love was doing perfectly well without a real object. After all, I loved the Katya from my memories, not the Catherine who once again entered my life 3 weeks ago. That love was disgusted by the very thought that its existence was based on a bodiless phantom, an ideal image. Its purpose wasn't the result, but the process, and its fruit was suffering. That's how a writer loves his unfinished book, how a painter loves an incomplete painting. Loves and hates at the same time, and after completing it, putting down the final dot or making the last brush stroke, lets it go, all covered in his or her blood and sweat. The piece will live its own life through the perception of each spectator, which the creator will remember it how it was the process of creation, a grain of an idea in its conception, an empty canvas at the beginning. They will remember all the pain and suffering that were required to let go in the end and trust other people with it. Some can only make one great masterpiece in a lifetime. For me, that masterpiece was still my love with Catherine, and I was stubbornly refusing to notice the base of my colossus was, with even greater effort and necessity, supported and strengthened by the quiet, obedient, and eternal loyal love of Himitsu. You know what? I'm pretty sure we will call this episode Confess. Just confess. Perhaps it was time to complete my masterpiece. Not to forget, no, something like that is unforgettable. But to let it go, retaining the best memories of it inside, and finally return to the sinful earth with its little problems. To find myself again, to once again meet the one who has always been around, and move on together, choosing one of the many paths forward. I cried. But those were not tears of sorrow or desperation. Yes, it was the tears of happiness that I finally can fucking just like do that with my left hand. I was crying because of happiness. And a new feeling was flowing down from my eyes, as if my heart, beating 100 times faster, was purging overheated cooling fluid. Perhaps this love wouldn't be described in novels, become a muse for poets, or find its honorable place in textbooks dedicated to philosophy. But for me, it was no less important than the love I had just let go, because without it, I wouldn't never realized what really mattered to me in life. Wow, for fucking 15 minutes he was confessing. Ridiculous game. Just ridiculous. I don't know how it's gonna end. Like, I swear, it's September 26th. I have no fucking clue.
how it's gonna end this game. The only end I see, the main character should fucking die. Seriously. But not like Jesus Christ or Neo. He has to fucking die like forever. I woke up with a heavy head, feeling like I'd been on a drinking spree. But the physical condition matters so little. I was always more occupied by global issues, hardly ever thinking in terms of days or weeks. But now, when all I had left was a couple thousand yen, I had to learn how to live for the present again. I washed myself, made breakfast, ate it, washed the dishes, and started to perceiving the Saturday silence in my house somehow anew. I'm pretty sure very soon somebody will come over to take his house. Because, you know, the house needs to be paid off as well, the rent. I mean, it's not the rent, it's his house, probably. He bought it off, but still, you need to pay the, utilities, everything. Maybe I could sell it. Oh, sure. But I didn't even know who it was registered to. It was unlikely I was listed as a proprietor. No, of course you are listed. They say Russians are wise in hindsight. And indeed, the longer I thought, the more I started to understand. Not only Russians, my friend. Answers came from nowhere, giving birth again to questions I had been waving off before. How could I have been so naive? Sure, I could drop out of school, find job. I'd most likely have enough money to survive. But would it really be alive? Would it be what my parents have wanted for me? Parents. After all, I had other relatives. Yes, let's go back to USSR. Let's go. I dashed to the hall and started feverishly flipping through the pages of the phone book. Here it was, my grandparents' cell phone number in the USSR. During the funeral, they kept asking for me to come back with them, but at that time, I couldn't even imagine how I could abandon everything here and go to a country I will remember as a drawing in a children's book. The unfamiliar dial tone of an international call. The dial tones of an international call are different from the normal ones. I wondered what time it was there. Well, if it's morning, I'll tell you there. If he's from Moscow, pretty sure he's like, fancy boy. It's minus 12 hours at least. Or 11. 10 or 11 hours, yes. Because the Vladivostok over there, yeah. Japan. Yeah, so it's a morning, it's midnight over there, it should be, yeah. Then familiar repeating beeps. Maybe I dialed the number wrong. However, the same thing happened to the second and third times. What was I doing wrong? I definitely used to talk to them using the exact phone number. After a few more unsuccessful attempts, the feeling of powerlessness became unbearable. I immediately remembered my thoughts the day before. Thoughts about Himitsu. Would I really have to let her go forever, fly thousands of kilometers away without any hope of seeing her again? But that would be better for everyone. That would be better for her. True love is first and foremost about caring for the happiness of the person you love. And that new feeling of mine would mean nothing if I was willing to put my desires above her safety. Himitsu would be better off without me. My phone, having persistently ignored all my attempts to connect to the USSR, suddenly rang by itself. Hello. After a pause, I decided to take the call. Shino-san has ordered delivery to the same address. A stranger's voice told me from the other end. You got the wrong number. I barely managed to reply. So that's where Ichinoza disappeared when I needed him. I didn't even find it suspicious that the call came during the day. I quickly got dressed and ran outside. Ryusoki-san had made it clear Japanese intelligence were no longer interested in me, but unfortunately they weren't the only ones I had to worry about. So I couldn't abandon caution. Okay, what about KGB? I wandered around for about an hour trying to lose any possible tails. Finally, I took a train to the waterfront. I didn't notice anyone follow me. The day was unusually warm considering it was the end of September, hot sea air reminding me of summer. A salty breeze blew from the ocean and I squinted, exposing my face to the rain of the scorching sun. Exposing myself! Oh my god, I'm going crazy with this game. Oh my fucking god. You're punctual. Hi, Irene. Beautiful. Honey bunny. A familiar voice brought me to my senses. I opened my eyes and saw Irina. We were the ones who called you. Yeah, Ichinoza. I didn't finish the sentence. His fate and the last thing you should be concerned about right now. So that's how you take care of your compatriots. Who's the compatriot? Let's take a walk. Irina took me by the arm and dragged me deeper into the fishing district, further from the train station. ... Shall I remind you that you are still a citizen of the USSR? Wow. I don't care about your sophistry. What clever words. Don't forget that you were born in that country, but so he has a dual citizenship. So what? She showed no reaction to my rudeness. So why am I here? I thought I made myself clear when I said that you should behave as usual, that you should lay low. Initiative is punishable, as our saying goes. It's quite hard to lay low and try to find something on Ito at the same time. Tell her about money that you're fucking starving. So you found something? Let's say I did. I was improvising, diving headfirst into this world of spies, the rules of which I knew nothing about. I wasn't scared in the first place because I simply didn't fully grasp what my words could lead to. Besides, impromptus were usually my strength, maybe due to some kind of innate intuition. I had nothing to lose or risk except for my life, and that was giving me extra confidence. In this case, my friend, would you bother to explain why the Japanese have lost interest in you so suddenly? And why Ito took his daughter away from Tokyo? Because they think I know nothing. And that really is the case, but before that I had some time to poke around Himitsu's house. And Irina was glaring a hole straight through me. Where are my guarantees? What kind of guarantees do you want? I don't even know what you found there. Something that might interest you. She took her time to reply, clearly thinking of all possible options. I'm listening. Firstly, you will guarantee Himitsu's safety and Ito's subsequently. Irina kept staring at me, not a single muscle twitching on her focused face, so it took quite an effort not to stutter. Next, I want to return to the USSR. There's nothing keeping me here anymore. Is that all? She finally said, having realized I was done. Yes. You know, good luck. I hope he really will come back. I really do hope. I can make decisions like that on my own, especially without having seen the documents. You'll have to take my word on this, otherwise you'll never get a chance to see them. You're clever. Although, I knew right away you were capable of something like this. Any means are good enough to save your own life. Fine, so what do you imagine from here? There was something I hadn't given much thought. Let's say I will give you the documents at the plane ladder. What? Don't want to take a ferry to Vladivostok? She's smart. A joyful spark appeared in her eyes, just like back then in the bar. You have no documents, never did, and you are of no value to anyone anymore, neither to us nor the Japanese. So the only advice I can give you is not to try and contact the USSR anymore or bother Ito. Just live like a Japanese do and forget about everything that's happened, and consider it a gift from your motherland. And me personally, it wouldn't be much easier to get rid of you. A lovely gift indeed, but I've got something for you as well. Thank you, Ichinose. Soviet 4th generation ballistic missiles. Ring a bell? I stared triumphantly at her, even raising my head a bit to look taller. Irina clearly had a hard time keeping a straight face. Perhaps, she said abruptly and stopped at a bench. I kept observing her gestures, movements, and facial expressions. It seemed that I actually had said something I couldn't have learned by myself, something that made her really interested. But she was afraid to show it, let me know that I cured an ace. I need some time to discuss everything with HQ, she said coldly and took a seat. Wonderful, I could use a break as well. I take it you're tapping my phone, she nodded. In that case, when I call my grandparents again, that will be the signal. It will mean I'm ready to continue our conversation. Irina raised her head and smiled unexpectedly. Well, good luck, Nikolai. That. What about the money? Fucking asked about the money. This is so ridiculous. Once in the station, I was hit with a cold sweat. The unexpected courage I had went
talking to Irina evaporated at once, leaving behind only fear and slight panic. Of course, I had a choice. I could remain silent, agreed, made peace with it, and forgotten. But I decided to take a risk, put everything I had at stake, my own life. The stakes were this high because the KGB clearly wasn't going to tolerate such deception. Naturally, I didn't have any documents. I wouldn't even have been able to say anything else if Irina had decided to question me further. But those ballistic missiles had turned out to be enough for her. God, what had my father been doing, really? Selling Soviet research to the West, or in our case, to the East? Oh, motherfucker. I couldn't blame him. I just had no right to do that. At the same time, I wasn't feeling bad for the USSR or proud of Japan. I could only think of Himitsu. Fuck ballistic missiles. Fuck the World War III. Like, no. I think about Himitsu. Approaching my house, I saw Ryunosuke-san's car parked in the yard. What was I supposed to do now? Run! A desperate thought crossed my mind. With Himitsu gone, nothing was keeping me here. I could throw my winter clothes, socks, and pants in a bag and ride into the sunset. Maybe to Osaka or Fukuoka. Osaka is a city in the Kansai region of Honshu. It is the third most populous city in Japan. Fukuoka is a port city, is built along the shores of Hakata Bay, southwest of Japan. I'm sorry, I never heard about them. I know Fukushima. I could find a job there, rent a 6 tatami flat, then settle down, meet a girl. 6 tatami flat. Oh, because they are measuring with the squares. Meet a girl. I like it, like meet a girl. Like, no, I hope you will never meet a girl, bro. Never. Something stung under my left shoulder blade. I was standing there and looking at Ryusuke-san's car. A beat-up sedan that must have served him for about 2 decades ago. Were Japanese intelligence officers really paid so little? Suddenly, the front door of their house opened and Himitsu's father himself walked out. He noticed me immediately, stopped for a moment, and then walked towards me with a firm gait. "Are you waiting for someone, Nikolai?" he asked in an impassive voice. "No, just daydreaming." Like always, like all his 10 years. I drawled, looked him right in the eye, smirked, and entered my yard. When I closed the door behind me, the sound of car engine reached me from outside. Ryusuke-san had left. He was probably pleased with himself for having solved the Anakin problem so deftly. People like him don't care about others' opinions or collateral damage. I was sure he didn't give me a damn what Himitsu was feeling, as he was sure he knew what was better for her. Just a couple hours earlier, I also thought I knew that she would be better off without me. But what did Himitsu herself think? I was making the same mistake again and again, deciding for other people. I definitely knew Himitsu would be better off without me. I definitely knew that she didn't want to see me. I definitely knew, but maybe it'll be easier to ask her, even if after that I would need to leave Tokyo forever and work as a sailor on a fishing vessel. Nobody will fucking hire you. Then at least I would be sure that I'd done everything I could. And since I already started playing hero by lying to a KGB agent, why couldn't I make a Japanese intelligence officer my enemy too? I counted the money in my wallet, packed a bag with a change of clothes, put on my jacket, and went to the railway station. I seriously couldn't afford a taxi this time. ... You could write an entire book about the Japanese railway system. The metro, the commuter trans, the Shinkansen. The Shinkansen, colloquially known in English as the bullet train, is a network of high-speed railway lines in Japan. You could get wherever you wanted in the least possible time. After reaching Shinjuku, I got off the train and stopped, perplexed. Hundreds of entrances and exits, dozens of railways and platforms, thousands of people walking around. This whole human anthill was pressing down on me without any chance to join in. I had only been before and never could understand how Japanese people were able to orient themselves in this labyrinth of concrete, steel, and glass. As a foreigner, I felt that at some point Japanese engineers had completely lost their connection to reality and sacrificed common sense itself to functionality. a challenge to figure out Tokyo's transportation system without a college degree. Of course, no one had demanded them to erect towering memorials to the fathers of communism like their Soviet colleagues did when designing Moscow's underground system. But to me, Shinjuku looked like a 100-year-old turtle with its shell covered in blossoming wildflowers. One layer lay atop another, lines connected to each other, ending starting the passages. Endless passages, stairs, and escalators going up and down. Was it really necessary? And how was this different from socialism, ensuring convenience for many at the price of many inconveniences for each individual? You gonna like fucking even discuss it with yourself, you fucking stupid 17 years old motherfucker that knows nothing about life? And trying to make a philosophical thing about socialism, communism, capitalism, like... Go fucking... to school, go school, seriously, go to school. It must have taken me no less than 3 hours before I managed to figure out which line I needed to take, bought the ticket, and boarded the train. Okay, that's a good preview. Because we're gonna call it Confess. Yeah, sorry, like that. Boom. Everything was drawing near, and apart from me, the train car was only occupied by a young mother with a little girl of 4 years old or so. The girl was constantly whining, stomping her feet, jumping on her seat, and shouting so loudly that my head started to hurt. Himitsu had always said that she loved children, but at that moment I couldn't even imagine that one day we would have a similar chaos generator of our own. We would have, I muttered and smirked. Mommy, look at this weird uncle. The girl shouted immediately. Oh, please calm down, I'm very sorry. She blushed heavily and lowered her head in apology. I gave a slight smile in response and kept looking out on the window. This train was going to the capital of the neighboring prefecture, a relatively small distance by Japanese standards, so it was stopping at every station on its way. We had long left Tokyo and were slowly passing through small rural stations, one after another. In the distance, a road mirrored the tram tracks, the one I had used a week ago to get to Himitsu's village. It's surprising how the same landscape looks completely different from cars' windows and the trains. Maybe it was because of the speed. Unremarkable settlements were slowly passing by, sleepy and deserted. Apparently, Saturday evening wasn't the most popular time for traveling. Conductors passed through the car occasionally and vendors pushed their merely jangling trolleys with food and beverages. A female vendor of formidable size gave me a pack of peanuts and a bottle of water, and a friendly, the kind only such corpulent saleswoman can, smile, taking my money. The unruly girl forced her mom to buy her ice cream, then a chocolate bar. I genuinely felt sorry for that poor young woman. She looked like she could be 17 or 18, but I figured that she mustn't be 5 to 7 years old. Wait, she could? She looked like her mom looked so young? In any case, she would have to have had the child when she was 20. And I was going to be 20 in 2 years. Oh, so he became 18. Entertaining arithmetic. That. I didn't get it. I didn't get this scene at all. When the train slowly, as if didn't really want to, stopped at the station I needed, the entire sky was covered with stars, as if somebody spilled sugar on the black cloth. How brightly they were shining here in the countryside without the light pollution of Tokyo. It felt as if I'd found myself in a totally different world. I waved goodbye to the capricious girl and mentally wished her mom patience. Excuse me. The girl stuck her tongue out at me in response and made a grimace. Didn't think I'd be back here so soon. I sighed and walked out of the station. Just like many cities in Soviet Union were built around factories and enterprises, numerous Japanese cities were built around hot springs. Thousands of such sleepy towns scattered across the entire country exist solely because of domestic tourism. Onsens, in Japan, onsen are the country's hot springs springs and the bathing facilities and traditional inns around them. Onsens come in many types and shapes, including outdoor and indoor baths. Okay. Aren't the most popular entertainment among foreigners. Ryusoki-san had to be in Tokyo, and more importantly, he seemed confident. I had no idea where Himitsu was, so I had a real chance to talk to her. He couldn't have set up guards for his daughter after all. Although I could expect anything from this man. Despite everything, I was full of determination and confidently walked to the house of the Himitsu's grandma. A huge crescent was hanging in the sky, courteously illuminating the path, together with brightly shining stars. Each of these stars was, in fact, another sun, just like ours, or maybe 100 times brighter. And the inhabitants of another planet could be looking up into their violet or green sky, seeing the dim spark of our sun as it was flying at incredible speed across the emptiness of a far corner of the galaxy, pulling our Earth along. I doubted they were troubled by the same things I was, and most likely their biochemistry wasn't carbon-based, so they physically couldn't experience love. Was I thus acknowledging that love is merely a chemical process, a reaction of hormones in the body? Okay, finally the house. The lights in the house were on. I stopped. All my determination seemed to have disappeared at once. I hadn't even come up with the words I was going to say. After catching my breath, I slowly walked to the front door and knocked. After some time, I heard slow steps coming from inside the house. It sounded as if someone was dragging something along the floor. Maybe someone. Coming! An old woman's voice sounded, and soon the door opened. Perfect. That's a perfect ending. We're gonna see the grandma. So, thank you very much, guys, for watching until the end. Please join the channel, subscribe on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. In the description will be playlist with this game. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next episode.